Joel and Isaiah Henry, the two youths who were brutally murdered, were laid to rest on Sunday at a moving ceremony in their hometown on the west coast of Belize. At the Sandys funeral home, President Irfan Ali was the first to pay his tribute. The president said Guyanese should reflect on how important love, peace, and unity are to our country.
In memory of these two young men, all of us recommit ourselves to peace, to love, to unity, to serving God. Very important. So today I ask the rest of Guyana to reflect in a peaceful manner, reflect in prayers, and reflect in thoughts of unity and hope.
Opposition leader Joseph Harmon said the Henry family is heartbroken, Guyana is heartbroken, and the villages of the west coast Belize are heartbroken.
Though the pain of their deaths will not easily subside, none of us must rest until justice is delivered for Isaiah and Joel. None of us must rest or relent. We must ensure that those who are responsible for their deaths are brought to justice and met with the full force of the law. This is not about recrimination, it is about justice. We demand justice for Isaiah and Joel, and so that every young child in this nation would know that every single one of them and their lives matter. And if some of us have to be inconvenienced for justice to be served, then so it will be.
The bodies of the Henry boys were then moved over to the parade ground where tributes were paid to them. Their cousin Nicolette Henry gave the tribute on behalf of the family, and she was moved to tears as she called for justice.
My family and I have heard from so many of you, and we really appreciate all the support in this difficult time. As a family, we're still mourning, and we're hurting and weeping as we look for solace and justice. Today is exactly 1 week since the family would have learned of the death of Joel and Isaiah. They've lost their lives, and I say loss because their death is another example of how brutal and evil our society can be. It is a frightening reminder of the prejudice and inequalities that exist here in Guyana.
Attorney at law Nigel Hughes, who is also looking after the family's interest in the matter, also spoke, and he said the murders of Joel, Isaiah, and Harish did not occur in a vacuum.
None of us will ever know the true extent of the excruciating pain, anguish, and horror which enveloped the peaceful lives of their relatives last weekend. None of our expressions of profound sympathies and condolences will ever prepare you for having to live the rest of your lives with the permanent burden of the frequent recollection of the images of Joel and Isaiah when their bodies were brought to you last weekend. And the reaction to their awful, brutal deaths did not occur without context. We collectively have all contributed to the creation of this horribly deformed society we call Guyana, which has enabled the perpetrators of these gruesome murders to feel sufficiently secure that they could engage in such acts of barbarity.
At a homegoing at No. 3 Village, West Coast Belize, villagers came out in their numbers to give support, while the calls for justice were echoed all across the village. Isaiah's mom was in and out of consciousness as emotions filled the air.
Oh, when I see my brother for you oh God, I killed him before my birthday. Oh God. Cry. All right. We're going to go by your brain, oh my God. Oh, you don't tell me say I want to go for my bread, Isaiah. Oh, Isaiah.
Glaston Henry, the father of Isaiah Henry, dispelled statements in the press that his son's killing was gang-related.
No, we never related to the president that this matter was gang-related.
Was your son involved in a gang?
No, my son never involved in a gang.
So where they got that story from?
You ask them where they get it from. And he write this boy that died here, because they're writing them by us and my name go together. But they are not no personal friend. They're not no personal friend with them by is a friend that every day, but just because he like write us, he just there with them by in the background. And then we all one neighbor. So there's it.
The service at the number 5 village football field was an emotional one, as scores gathered to pay their respects. Among those were recording gospel artists Samuel Medas and Saiku Andrews.
Undoubtedly, this is one of our family's darkest hours. But we comfort ourselves with the scripture at Job 40:14, which says, if a man die, shall he live again?
That this would be justice and justice would be served. We would fight and we're gonna fight as one. It hurt me to see my brother go down like this. When my father died, I came out of school and I toiled with my mother. And I'm not going to let this one down. This one must bring change.
Then the tributes came and things got out of control when Minister of Foreign Affairs Hugh Todd took the microphone.
I would like to bring you greetings on behalf of the government of Guyana. This is a very sad occasion, and I want you to understand that the government is caring, loving, and believes in justice. I want you to begin by saying to you,
Todd was accompanied by Ministers of Labour Joseph Hamilton and Nigel Darmalal. The mourners chased them out and the police had to be called in to escort them. Joel and Isaiah Henry's mutilated bodies were found in the back dam of Cotton Tree last Sunday.